4.1 is about how states can assist with partnership programs between schools, students, and families. Actions are needed at the state level to improve programs to involve families in every school, and there are benefits with these programs. They prevent more costly social and educational problems. Epstein and Sheldon, of a 2019 article, stated hundreds of studies confirm that students do better in school if their parents and others in the community are interested and involved in their education. But it all starts with a choice. Parents have a choice of what school their children will attend. They can choose from religious schools, other private schools, and also just their districted schools or charter schools or magnet schools. Often parents may look at the programs of those schools, and that depends on what they choose. So families and school connections start with the choice of schools and then continue as teacher and parents and students interact daily. Policies. So state programs should establish policies and take action to support districts and schools as they improve programs and practices of family and community involvement. So I currently do not work at a state school, so I would need federal help. And we do receive some because there is a systematic program of using like PTAs and PTOs in each school to help bridge that gap and have that partnership. So this chapter lays out 14 actions / policies that they recommend states should put into action to help better support these partnerships between families, students, and schools. And there's 14 of them. So we're going to go through them one by one. First, they suggest that a state should write a policy that outlines the state's commitment to research-based and goal-oriented programs. So this commitment would discuss the importance of family and community. It would also discuss the importance of a well-planned partnership programs. It will lay out their perspectives, expectation, and their services. And they'll discuss the leadership, the district, and the action teams. They will call educators to pay attention to the 6 types of involvement. It is clear and comprehensive, but it is also flexible and responsive. So they're willing to take some feedback and make any type of changes to the outline. Next, it's important to establish an office or department that has experienced and expert leaders and staff members that can help with the development and the improvement of the programs. This will help increase awareness. It will also help develop the knowledge of programs and encourages the actions of colleagues. Next thing is you need a plan. So they're going to write an action leadership or a leadership action plan. What this will help do is it'll help create awareness. It will help align the program and the policies together. It'll guide learning and development. It'll also enable to be able to share knowledge and celebrate milestones while documenting progress and also evaluating the outcomes. Funds are also very important because it's very hard for a program to exist if it does not have the funds to do it. So state level will help to identify these funds to help these partnerships cover the cost of staff and program. They will include, some of these costs may include translation materials and interpreters for those families who speak little English. It also will talk about effective practices, develop, test, and disseminate approaches, and also will fund materials needed for these programs. It's important for the state to conduct ongoing in-service education. This will be in the style of professional development for district leaders, and this will also help the leaders advance their skills over time. Improvement. So it's important to collect, assess, and help leaders improve district policies on partnerships and the organization of district leaderships for partnership program development. So the leaders are not just collecting and monitoring policies, but that they're kept up to date on the most recent research on programs. Number 7. The state would evaluate teachers and administrators for their work of the partnerships. So they would be evaluating the district superintendent along with the district level leaders. They'd be evaluating the principals, the teachers, the counselors, and instructional aides. So anybody that is involved in this partnership. Number 8, they will help support master teachers and lead teachers and other teachers that are involved with the organizing and evaluating and improving programs of family and the community involvement. This would look like professional development. This would also come in a way of financial support, planning time, and the leaders given the recognition that they deserve. Number 9, they would help also to develop tools or products. So these tools can include brochures, calendars, newsletters, translations of information, materials for families in limited English within websites, summaries of research. Some of these are things that my district kind of already does, where they send out families monthly newsletters or quarterly newsletters, so parents know what's going on in the school district and school community. We also have websites on every single school that informs parents of things that are going on, along with school websites, but there's also district websites as well, informing them what's going on. And I specifically think of right now during our virtual learning that our district set up their own page, and it has all these virtual links for everything, but also it has by grade level and by school what assignments each child is given for that week. So that's another way that they are communicating to the families. Number 10, it's important for the state to encourage business, industry, and other community connections to strengthen this partnership. They can do this through legislation, incentives such as tax credits, preferred status or recognition. They can also develop daycare or summer and vacation programs and information centers. Number 11, the state would establish an advisory committee so that the state education leaders hear from parents and the community about the partnerships and about the educational issues. This would need to be held on a regular schedule. This would also involve the key stakeholders, which would be like the students, the parents, community members, and it would make sure it's of the diverse population. I kind of think of my principals they call it a principals coffee. This is where they kind of invite parents in to ask them direct questions. And right now we've been doing it virtually, but they used to actually physically come to the school and address any educational issues or concerns that they have. And they would go straight to the principal, and then she'd be able to give them direct feedback. Number 12, it's good to establish a website, a library, some type of center where we can get information out into the community and into the family and give them useful materials and resources. So some of these resources may include best practices, family resource centers, research results, effective approaches for partnership, teacher practices, and different things that involve technology. Number 13, they would support requirements for pre-service and advanced education to prepare new teachers. I think this is probably one of the most important ones, and it's also, I think, one of the ones that needs to be done at the beginning or at first. Because if teachers aren't even getting taught at their bachelor's degree of what these programs are and the importance of these partnership programs, then they're not going to know how to connect with their parents and the community when they get into that teacher role. And since some of them only have a bachelor's degree, it is very important that this class is given at the beginning of their education. So some things that this class should include is how to plan, how to implement, evaluate these programs, and to improve the outreach. And lastly, number 14, they suggest that states support research and evaluation on the quality and effects of the programs. So it's very important to not just adopt a program into a school or district level, but it's also to keep coming back to evaluating it to see how it's working. So it's important for the state to collect and analyze data, to perform those evaluations, and to give feedback. So Epstein and Sheldon in 2019 article says there's 3 things when you're evaluating programs that you should look for. First, measure the implementation first. It is necessary to measure the quality of the program implementation before measuring the results. Then also think about measuring the quality over time. You're not going to measure something just for 1 month. It needs to see some progress over time. And then number 3, make sure you include all the partners in the evaluations, like the teachers, the parents, the administrators, and others. They suggest making surveys in this article. They have simple surveys or more in-depth surveys, depending on which partnership the teachers, parents, administrators you're trying to send those surveys to. And I'm going to add a little bit about evaluations from that article. They suggest that evaluation has key components. We're looking at the key components of the programs, and those key components, so when you're evaluating a program, you should be looking for is the actual program development. Like, how was it developed? Was it through teamwork? Was it written plans? Was it support for partnership? Are there links for planned activities? The next one is, what is the program's effectiveness? We should be looking out for that when evaluating programs. And they give a long list of examples, such as outreaching to the families and the community, the strategies, the technologies that are used to invite or to communicate with and engage in the families, and just keeps going about outreaches. The last one is looking at the short-term and the long-term results of implemented the activities for all the partners. So this is kind of what I was just talking about. You need to give it time to kind of be able to evaluate the program. So it's talking about looking specifically as the activities of the partners. So what are the parents doing? What are the schools and teachers doing? And what are the students doing? And they had this chart in the article, kind of puts everything together when it comes to like evaluation. And first it starts with the student and family background, moves into the outreach to the parents, and it kind of gives you a nice arrow where you look at the outcomes and results for the students. So what are the students gaining out of this program? Because students are first. So we're doing these programs for the students to have a positive outcome in their academics and them socially and the all-around child. So we need to make sure we're having programs that are focused on what's best for the child. And my sources include our text, which is the 2011, but this was the article if you are interested in reading more about how they think evaluating programs for schools should be done. And I thank you, and I hope you learned something from this presentation.